like to pay a couple respects to the people that made me what I am today.
Nothing gear.
It's all my love. It's all my love.
The quiet man.
It's all my love. It's all my love.
Dopamine. Jim.
It's all my love.
Welcome to the Soul Patch Podcast, a podcast where expats discuss education, culture, and life on the Korean Peninsula. I'm Ryan. I'm here with Jack. Kevin's out this week, but that's all right. We're still going to get down to it. Last week, we had left off talking about the changes in our work over the, what I guess we could call a vast amount of time that we've been teaching here in Korea. 12 years for me and Kev and Jack. How long?
I guess it was 15 years ago. Yeah, 2006 when I started teaching at the university level in Korea. So
yeah, so
we're pretty similar.
A lot
though.
has changed.
Yeah,
in that way. So a lot has changed. A lot has changed during that time, and I think we will get back to that topic, but not this week. I think we should take a little more time and organize some more thoughts. I want to kind of spread that topic out to talk not only about the changes in our work in education, but also just the changes in Korea.
Oh, for sure.
That's a much more interesting subject for listeners and even for ourselves for discussion. Yeah. So this week, we're jumping to a new topic. We're going to talk about the COVID situation, which I'm surprised we didn't start with this. This is
I know it's
really
so topical. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, given the date that we're doing this podcast, where we kicked the ball. So let's start from the top with COVID. So, Jack, what was the COVID lockdown like in the early days? Like, what was like your first realization that things were different, something was happening? Yeah,
I mean, I felt I remember the MERS. And I remember SARS too. SARS was in 2008. It kind of coincided with the economic meltdown, and then SARS. SARS was more of a epidemic, I guess, in Asia. Did SARS reach all the way to the U.S.? I don't remember.
I mean, at that time, I was doing the backpack around the world thing.
Oh, okay.
And I was kind of tuned out. I was in a lot of rural places.
It really wasn't. I didn't buy any masks or anything for SARS. I was just, everybody was just a little bit, we just had a little bit of a heightened sense that there was something going on, but it wasn't very contagious. And so there were some people that were getting sick and they were taking some precautions at the airport, but it just didn't. It didn't hit me until MERS or MERS. I don't know how they pronounce it, but that was the camel, the Middle East respiratory syndrome. Is that what it is? MERS. I think.
What year was that?
Oh man, what year was that? That must have been
that was while I was
14.
That was
15, 14, 13,
something like that.
Something like that. And I remember specifically going to Lotte Mart, the supermarket, and it was empty. And that was weird because it was like a Saturday morning and we needed some groceries, and I had a mask on at that time, which was kind of a dramatic at the time. Like I wasn't a big mask wearer.
So you were wearing a mask because of the virus.
Yeah, because of the MERS thing, and it was like this might get a lot worse. So they were telling people to be prepared. And actually, I remember there was a patient in a local hospital here in my city, and so that got everybody kind of freaked out because we were like I live in Gangtaek, and Gangtaek was like had one of the only 3 patients that had it. And they were in one of our hospitals down here, so so everybody was very was very sensitive to it. And I just remember walking through the supermarket and feeling like I was in an episode of The Walking Dead or something. One of these for
me in Itaewon, none of that, none. Okay. And it wasn't like willful negligence or anything. I wasn't like an anti-masker from 2014, something like this.
No, right,
literally just didn't. It wasn't an issue. It was like, I think I caught it in the news. I saw it in the news, and it was just a faraway issue to me. And I had some students talking about it. It was mentioned a couple of times that, like, you'd be at dinner and someone would be like, hey, maybe don't share the banchan. Haha.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was not, it just wasn't a thing.
No double
it didn't
dipping,
land as hard. Yeah.
No,
But when, like, so in comparison to how that started, how would you compare that? How would you compare the start of COVID?
So the start of COVID, our semester had just ended. I guess this is the fall of 2019 semester, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then we're coming around to January of 2020, and I was actually pretty early on. I was like, oh boy, something is happening here. This is not, this is not just, this is not SARS. This is not MERS. This is something a little bit more serious. And I had a camp that I always teach that I kind of had become part of my salary. Like I kind of integrated it into my yearly salary. And I was like, sure. Oh man, we had a pre-camp meeting. And we all sat down and we talked. And then that was the last time I saw that group of people since that day, since December of 2019.
Wait. So did you cancel the camp, the winter camp?
So they canceled the kids camp. It was a kids camp, and they canceled it in the city because of coronavirus. And so, and I had kind of called it. I sent a text message to a couple friends of mine. I said, hey guys, I got a bad feeling about the camp this winter. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, have you been watching the news? This COVID-19 thing it looks like it might be serious. And at that time I'd been, my habit is just to watch CNN all the time, even though I hate CNN, but it's just on in my house, kind of like a fridge buzz, just a,
Sure.
It's almost soothing or something, but I sent the message to the guys that I usually teach the camp with, and they said no, you're exaggerating, or I don't remember what they said, but they hadn't really heard anything, and within a week the writing was on the wall. It was like, this is not status normal here. Things are messed up. And then
for me, it was later. It was like, it was the 2 weeks out before class started.
Mm.
So
wow, you must have been. What were you doing in that?
I feel like I got my head in the ground. Like maybe you know what's going on. I never know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh no. I do pay, I think, too close attention to this kind of stuff, like the news in general. I should just be living my life, but I'm a bit of a news junkie and a politics guy, so I'm always kind of invested in that sort of stuff online. And so pretty early on, within January, I was even like starting to stock up on masks. So I had like 100 masks. Just when you couldn't find a mask anywhere, I was an early adapter. So I kind of got in early, and as things progressed, it's February to March, I realized, oh man, we're going to be online this semester. And that was kind of shocking because I've never, what are we going to do? I had no idea.
Wait.
I skipped too far ahead.
Really
probably.
Unfolded.
Oh yeah, tell me.
Quite how it unfolded, right? Because it wasn't. You and I, we weren't told, and as far as I know, I talked to some other friends at other universities at Yonsei, so that we weren't told, and they weren't told, you're going online for the semester. We were told you're going online for 2 weeks.
Oh, right.
So,
you're right.
Right. Yeah. So for myself, and I think for many other professors, we just adapted, like, what do you call, like, stopgap measures, okay, then I'm not going to do, these quizzes and these activities. I'm not going to go over these lecture points because in 2 weeks, I'm coming back to campus. For me, it didn't really land until after the first 2 weeks. They pushed back another 2 weeks. And that's where I said, no, we're never.
This
going
is
back.
over.
It's
Yeah.
going to be, yeah.
Okay. You know, I might be rewriting history, you know, to in my mind, because actually going back that far, it's time is dilated in COVID. Do you know what I mean? A week
Oh,
is
man. Oh,
a
man,
minute
I
or a
know
month.
this.
I don't know. You know, it's just like everything just gets squished together. It's a very,
well, especially as teachers, right? Like as teachers, you know, being a teacher for over a decade, you base so much of your life on these schedules. Like anybody that's a contractor, if you're working on a project, that's how you organize time in your mind. You're not thinking about months in the same way as someone who's working 365. So you're always thinking of time in terms of semesters. Like I can tell you what week it is in the semester, always.
yeah.
You know,
Same with
like
me.
right now we're entering the 16th week. It's like, yeah. So having that that schedule still exists even though we're online, but it's different because I was able to preload a lot of my lessons.
Yes.
Many of my classes, I'm using combinations of, even if I'm using Zoom, I'm not using it at the scheduled class time, or I'm doing pre-recorded videos. You can load all those things on one day. You're giving yourself bigger windows. Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, a lot of Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, you know what? And now that I think about it, in some of my early videos, it was like, "Hey, I hope to see you guys soon, and you know, it'll be just another week, and then we'll be back in the classroom." There was a lot of I think hopefulness, kind of among the whole population in general, and I think in my daughter's case, there was hope that this thing continues online. You know what I mean? Like the kids were. This is exciting, you know. It's like a snow day every day, you know.
Well, let's break that down. Like, I mean, typically in this podcast, we want to stay talking about, you know, the positivity of our experiences in Korea, because I think that's something that needs to be more broadly discussed and promoted.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Versus like, it's just there's so much crap talking about everything in life online. But I do want to go both sides on this issue. I want to talk about what was the best of this COVID experience in Korea for us, and what's the best and what's the worst. So we'll start with what's the worst.
And I think the worst that it's universal. Like there's just no question now that among, I think, teachers even in the United States that say, you know what, there's nothing that can replace in-class instruction. This idea that we can somehow create a widget that's going to allow one great teacher to, you know, reach, you know, thousands of students. No, it's, and that we can go in this later, but this goes back to basically the foundation of what I would say my teaching philosophy is that it's about social interaction. And that's exactly what you're losing when you go online. And that, especially language learning. I mean, social interaction is the key to, I think, success in a language classroom. I mean, there's a reason why, you can't just buy a dictionary in another language and just, I'm going to start with A and then just abba to zappa, you know, I'm going to learn this language. You need the social.
I had the first semester online, I had the public speaking elective. So I taught 2 courses in public speaking, and teaching public speaking on Zoom is a joke.
I just did it.
There's no pressure. You just, you took it over.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I've done it. I did a writing class and I might have done it twice. I did it twice in the 3 semesters. Yeah.
Yeah. You just don't have, you can practice making videos with a camera. There's skills and things to be learned, but the student is not going to be able to translate that directly to being on a live stage in real time with an audience, with that pressure. And then all of the exercises around that also are scrambled, like where I would have normally students taking notes and giving feedback directly after, joining the student on stage and then breaking down the performance, what happened. All of that was just such a shit show. So I'd agree with you. I think that's probably the worst. But let's bring it back to the positive.
Yeah.
What's the best? What's the best?
Well, I mean, I think the thing that I like, I got to make a video, and I'm not gonna say I love it because I only have to upload one lecture to 7 classes or 8 classes or whatever. Of course, that's going to reduce your time and effort, because you're sending one. You're not going to make 7 different lectures of the same lecture and send it to 7 different classes. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And so I kind of like I like that I got to refine my my lesson and kind of edit it and stuff like that. And I used PowerPoint to record. So there's a function on PowerPoint where there's a little box in the corner where they can see my face. And then I used a stylus, and I was able to write on the slides and kind of like a blackboard or a whiteboard. And I just went through and I taught my lessons the same way I would in the classroom, just using the PowerPoint and picture files and a stylus to make notes. And I also I used to have a YouTube channel, a different YouTube channel, which was I was going to try to break into the English ESL YouTube community, and I gave up after about 7 videos, but I still had those videos, and they're all nice little well edited videos. So I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to share that with my students. I mean, I might as well just throw everything that I feel has any sort of usefulness or quality. I can just upload this, and I would never do this in my regular class because I wouldn't just make them sit and watch a video of me talking when I could talk to them in person. But in this case, I found those videos that I just had saved from a prior endeavor ended up coming in really handy because they're all just like one little grammar point, and they're very nice at the beginning of the semester. So I added that to my my repertoire of videos that I uploaded. I'm talking about the first semester of COVID, where everybody's just figuring out how to use Zoom and how. I didn't even use Zoom the first semester.
Yeah, that was for me initially. That was quite stressful. Like I'm always into like a new challenge, whatever. The Canvas system that we use it's been available prior to COVID, and some professors had toyed with it in our office. I had used it zero. Even like PowerPoint, like I don't use the AV system in the classrooms. I just don't. I do everything with the whiteboard marker or chalk. Like,
wow.
I love tech. I love tech, but when it comes to my teaching style, it's just everything is just live,
tactile. And you like that? Yeah.
It's the way it just always worked for me. I'm not like an advocate for it or anything like that. It's just that's my style. I've probably used like 2 PowerPoints in 12 years that were given to me by somebody else, and it was in my first semester ever teaching, and it didn't go well. Like I wasn't able to anticipate things right, or I don't know. Anyway, so when this happened and I had to take a deep dive into using the Canvas software website stuff, it was a challenge for me. But I feel like now, having done it for 3 semesters, I'm into blended learning now. I will always use that website system or a system like that when we go back offline. Yeah, I think there's a ton of benefit to it. So I think that's definitely been a positive experience for me.
Well, that's so funny because I am a PowerPoint user. I don't use it a lot, but I do have certain PowerPoints that I like, and certain like websites that I like to visit that my students find useful. Pronunciation website I use from the University of Iowa. They have this wonderful like app that shows the points of articulation. It's as if you see it like it's a cartoon head split in half, and you're looking at it from the profile, and you can see all the places of articulation, where to put your tongue and everything. And it's a really useful site. I might even put that website in this video just for the teachers out there. if you're teaching pronunciation.
Yeah.
Sometimes students are visual learners. They love to see things and it just clicks for them. I'm that way.
Yeah.
But when it came to grading and keeping scores, writing down scores of exams and homework and stuff like that, I've always been paper. I put it in my attendance sheet. I love to see the number in there. Scribble. And I have this. It's basically my Bible by the end of the semester. If I lose that, I'm screwed.
Oh yeah.
I like that.
I got a folder for every class, folder for every student, and if
that thing disappeared,
I've had nightmares.
Yeah.
Like I wake up and just like, okay,
it's gone, and you're just like, I'm done. I'm toast. Throw something in a map or a piece of paper, and that's your grades for the semester. But what I've done from going through this experience is I started using the EClass function. I don't know if our listeners out there know, but basically it's just a platform that allows you to input when students watch a video. It just records it and gives you it has a lot of data about the students' activity on this platform. Is that Canvas? Is that the same thing, or is this a different platform?
Yeah, Canvas is you're talking about. EClass and Canvas are the same.
Oh, okay. Then I did use EClass. I used Canvas a lot since COVID started.
See, so some professors like you, and I know I won't name names, but I think there's probably about half our office had quite a bit of experience, but the other half, like myself, had like zero. But like I said, I went from none to now probably be an advocate.
I will use it forever the rest of my teaching days. I will always like students will send assignments through EClass. I will I like the
quick feedback they can get.
Yes, it's fantastic.
But let's move on to talking a little bit more broadly about the experiences of COVID. So that was like the best and worst of the teaching experience.
Yeah.
But what about like the rest of being in Korea? So for myself, the worst of it, I really cannot complain. I can't complain at all. Because my work was able to be done remotely, I don't need to commute, which means I don't need to be wearing a mask. And I've gone, I go out sometimes, of course. And if I have to wear a mask for more than like 2 hours, I know it's not a popular conversation, but it's straight up, it
just drives you crazy
for me to breathe in a mask. Nobody wants to say this, but it makes me nuts, but I wear it because it's social responsibility and for respect of everybody else around me. But I really feel a lot of sympathy for people that have to do it 8 hours a day because that's their job and they're out in public in their job. So I don't have anything really to complain about as far as socially. It's been a really big benefit to me. It's been quite good being able to work remotely from home. As I mentioned in the beginning, really quickly when we started this conversation, this house, we took this, I think in November, just before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really old house. We had a lot of work to do on it. We're painting and, a little bit of remodeling. And so I had all this time where I'm at least based out of my house, which was great. And as you know, I'm a runner.
Yeah, so, and you don't strike me as a guy that likes to sit around all day. You're not going to embrace the sedentary lifestyle the way I did.
Well, kind of the opposite. It's kind of fun. It was kind of fun to have a schedule that was so flexible. Like I like running, and running's the type of activity where you got to have some, you have to have a little bit of energy to get out the door and do it. But being on your own schedule, I'm sleeping easily enough every night because I just don't have those meetings. And I feel for going running pretty much every day. So I live just next to Namsan, a mountain in the middle of Seoul. And it has this lovely path around the outside. If anybody's listening, if you are a barefoot runner, like I've been getting into barefoot running this season.
Oh, wow. That's great.
This is a great, this is a great city for barefoot running.
Do you wear a special sock type thing, or do you just go like totally barefoot?
I began by going totally barefoot just as a a way to try to fix my cadence and just body mechanics.
Start running on the
So I
balls
would
of
just
your
do these
feet
little-
more, like the way we're supposed to run, right?
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So I started doing this in just little short distances. I would do like 500 meters. So I'd take off my shoes and socks, put them at like the front of the trail on Namsan. So it's this, again, for people that don't know Korea, this is like a double wide paved road that goes around the mountain. You can't, even bicycles are not allowed. So it's just walking and runners. And it's really wide. I mean, you could pass 3 cars.
Oh, it's paved and you're running on the pavement, or do you run next
you haven't been
to
up there. It's on the pavement.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's really nice. So it's groomed really well. You've got like 4 kilometers on that path, and then the rest is the other half of the mountain, which is all on sidewalks coming back. So anyway, the point is I would go there, take my shoes off, leave them, and then run out 500 meters, run back, put my shoes on, and they're there, which is awesome because no one steals anything really.
Right.
And
the honesty of Korea, that is a benefit too. Yeah.
My shoes are always there. And I started running longer and longer. So I bought a pair of Vibrams. Have you heard of these?
No, but I think I know what they are. Do they have toes? They
have toes. It looks like love for your foot.
Yeah.
And I love these stupid things.
Yeah.
So
I think Roman,
for anybody that's interested in running, Korea is when the air quality is good. There's been some issues with that, but just like the bike trails in here, we'll do a whole episode on the bike trails.
Oh, I got to hear this.
Like
I'm gonna.
That'll be another episode.
One.
Yeah.
Pick your brain.
But just that preemptively or whatever as a preview, just like the trails on the mountain, they groom it so well that if you want to run barefoot, it's not just like, oh, you won't step on glass. It's like you won't even step on a twig. They are out there every day sweeping
with the little
unbroken.
Yeah.
They got little pinchers.
Little pinchers and
Chipke,
every cigarette butt and No, it's fantastic.
Really, really pleasant. So so for me, that's the biggest benefit since COVID. I set a bunch of goals for distances, and it's just easy to keep up with it. I'll have a big challenge, I think, to keep my routines going once I get back.
I think we are at the exact
convenient
opposite ends of the spectrum because I'll tell you, it starts with a meme. Like I didn't like pick up cigarette smoking or anything like that, but I was basically eating myself to death. I saw a meme on Facebook. I think my uncle posted it. And it's like it says me during COVID, and then it shows a giraffe, and someone photoshopped the giraffe to just be morbidly obese because no one's ever seen a morbidly obese giraffe. But I'm 6'8". I guess I was the closest you'll come to seeing a morbidly obese giraffe. I lost the weight, but I blew up, man. I just like started eating, and what I did was I started baking. Like I started getting into these like weird hobbies. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna make some. What did I bake? I can't remember now. What my daughter and it was something my daughter and I did together. So we made like a cake. And we were like, wow, we baked a cake.
So you're not even doing like bread. You're going straight for like the sweet stuff. Like
Pound cake. Yeah, I wonder why they call it pound cake. Yeah. Kilogram cake. Yeah. At the beginning of
something I think the whole world hit with.
Oh, well, I think I talked to a couple other people and they were like, yeah, I started baking too. And I was like, man, why didn't I listen to Ryan and just go running? That would have been much better. That's what I ended up having to do to get the pound cake off of that weight that I gained. But I was writing a couple of books for now. When I say writing books, don't get me wrong. I wasn't writing like the 5th installment of Harry Potter or you know what I mean. I'm not a fiction writer. I write textbooks, course books, as mainly a hobby, I would say. You're not going to get rich writing textbooks. I can tell you that much. I know for sure. But I was like, writing on the side and teaching full time was really taking a toll on me. And all of a sudden I had all this time and it was like, oh my God, I got 6 months now to just finish these 2 books. And all I have is time all day long. And so I would just sat on the sofa and I had CNN in the background and it was all COVID all the time, Chris Cuomo and all the CNN people. And I was just kind of ambiently listening to that and then just working on my book. And I ended up finishing those. And it was very fulfilling. I was like, oh, wow, I made use of COVID. Like I did something productive. Like you're running, you were like, you did something. And when those were done, that's when I kind of was looking for something else, and baking kind of became that in a very strange way. Because I don't know, if you see me, I don't strike people as like a baker and a chef. I'm not a.
I think everybody's hobbies kind of branched out a little bit. Or you try to make. I like how you said that. Like you try to make the best of the situation, and you can only spend so many hours of the day feeling bad that you can't do the things you normally want to do, and there's only so many hours a day that you can spend feeling sorry for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to work with what you got. Like my girlfriend, as you know, is a fashion designer, and with COVID, there was a massive turn down. I think she saw it coming in advance. And also there was, via me being American, was aware of the mask shortage. Remember this in the beginning of COVID in America? That was the big thing, hoarding masks. The FBI or whatever raided.
They really screwed that up badly.
What a mess. So my family was struggling to get masks, and that was kind of the narrative. She was aware of it. In Korea, don't you remember? I don't know if it was like this in your area, but here in Central Seoul, there was a limit. It was based on your birth year. So I was born in 1978. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember, but I think my day was either a Wednesday or a Thursday. And that means I can go to the pharmacy only on a Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, I go to pharmacy any day.
I remember that.
Wednesday and Thursday, It's my day to get a mask. And so they did, what do you call that? Ration the masks. But we never needed them. So, because I always had extra, so I would just pick it up and then just give it to the little grandma that lives downstairs.
Oh, nice.
Give them away. Or even like on my way to go up to Namsan to go running, if it was my day, I would just go in there, grab it, and the first person I saw, I would just be like, yo, because I've got a stockpile. Which to the point of my story is what my girlfriend decided to do with her fashion company was to shift focus. So she started making masks.
Yeah, brilliant.
So she started making washable masks that had the filter inserts.
Okay.
So she was able to get a vendor that got her the material. Man, it was successful. She was able to sell a bunch of these things, whatever.
Yeah. Were they kind of stylish too?
America,
were they
Of course.
Yeah. That stuff was brilliant. When I saw man, when I saw people doing like fashion masks and stuff like that, I was just I wish I had that initiative, like the initiative of your girlfriend who's just like, but I can do.
There were still challenges. There were challenges with this. You would think it's so simple. She already has all the infrastructure, right? She's already designing clothes. She has her own stores, and she's been selling for like over 10 years. So she's got all the factories, everything. It's easy peasy. Just lock in the designs, do a couple of tests, and mass produce it. It was not like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least that part was pretty easy to get the basic masks made, but the filter insert material was tightly controlled. She struggled to get access to it.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And because that's
PPE,
one.
Right? It's considered like PPE, like personal protective equipment, right?
Yeah. So she wanted to sell the masks on her website in her store with a combo package. So you'd get some filters with it. So you got like 10 disposable filters with like each mask or something like this. And eventually did it. It was successful eventually, but it was a pain in the butt. Also, my family wanted masks, and some of my extended family. I think we ended up shipping maybe 1,000 or something. I don't remember what the orders were. It's quite a few that we shipped internationally.
Yeah.
It is, oh damn, when you think about the amount of cost it is for shipping, it was still worth it to my family in order to get those.
Yeah.
And we struggled with customs with the masks because of the filter. Then we shipped some without the filter, still struggled with customs because it was a mask.
Yeah,
it's just a couple of pieces of fabric.
Because it's regulated. Because it's considered medical equipment, even though it's it's just a mask. I mean, even though in America they were telling us just wrap a scarf around your face, because they didn't have enough. I'm not going to go into the whole how I think Fauci lying to the American public in the early stages was actually a bad call. But we don't have to relitigate all that stuff. But I will flip it
about that.
Yeah, there are plenty of podcasts about that. Isn't Trump's old Twitter feed, if you can find it, I'm sure is probably loaded with that. But the thing to flip it to the positive though, I did really feel like now this might come off as like obsequious or ass kissy or whatever, but I'm not. I really do feel like the Korean response was it was quick. It was the notifications, the just the alacrity with which they responded made me feel better. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like any that I could tell from the news that I was watching, any kind of political internecine fighting or whatever. It was just very they might have been a little tiny bit behind the eight ball, but everybody was, because we just didn't know what we were dealing with. But they got on it so fast.
Didn't have it didn't have that, like you said, it didn't have that. It wasn't politicized, and it's still. I mean,
it was
you could probably find corners of it where it is. I'm not that up on Korean.
I don't follow Korean politics either, so I wouldn't know. But yeah,
but I found it really reassuring that in the early days they greenlit multiple COVID tests in order to try to find one that was the most accurate. So they basically just did live trials with the population. Like they're just letting all those tests happen, is the way I understood it.
Yeah.
Eventually, striking gold, getting one that works. And that was really
just
fast.
and such a massive testing program. Like just the quantity of people that they were able to test was.
And it's fantastic. The drive-through testing. Have you done the drive-through testing?
No, I haven't. I did mine. I didn't do the drive-through.
I found it so reassuring. I did the drive-through one, and it wasn't truly drive-through. You park your car and you had to walk through this tent. It was outdoor. It's a tent. Mm-hmm.
I did that. That's what I did. Yeah, I went through a tent outside.
They don't ask for ID. There's no reason to feel anything about this, right? You don't have to be like, my privacy. Also, you walk in, they give you a little ticket with a handwritten number. Okay, that's your number. Okay, it's like 34, whatever. I think I walked into this tent and out in under 120 seconds.
Oh wow!
And so I walk in with my ticket. They say write down your phone number or any way you want to be contacted. So it could be anybody's phone number. Again, this is no identifying information. They're not trying to collect that. So I write down my phone number. I walk up to the little booth. So it's like a little I don't know.
It's like trailer. A pojang matcha.
Pops out the window.
Yeah,
like this, kind of like Wizard of Oz or something. Pops out the window, and they screw the thing up my nose and they stick it in the tube, and they send me a text message within the next 24 hours with the results. You can do it every day if you wanted to.
I know.
It's free. It was like zero effort.
I didn't do. I never left the house. I only got tested once, and the time I got tested was when they did a mandate that all foreigners have to get a test, and I think Seoul squashed that at a certain point. They were like,
I didn't do it.
It got quashed, but I was nervous. I was like, well, what about Gyeonggi? I hadn't heard that we were okay if we don't do it, so I just went, all right, I haven't had a test yet. I might as well just go and wait in line. And I waited in line, socially distanced and wearing a mask. And it was pretty quick, and it was pretty painless.
Was
and
it was outdoor tent?
It was outdoor. That's right. I went to a hospital where I actually brought my daughter to get vaccinated, not for COVID, but her regular vaccinations. And it was outside of that hospital. And, it was very efficient, Korean style. It moved very efficiently. And I didn't have a grudge about it. I didn't make it I know that some people may politicize that issue a little bit in Korea. It's not fair that only foreigners have to go and do this. And I kind of understood that, who is most likely to have been outside of the country in, recent days or months or weeks or whatever. And so I figured,
there's different ways to look at these issues.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see both sides. I tend to not take a position on it because I don't see the benefit to doing so. Like maybe this is another conversation. Well, it's relative. When I first came to Korea, you have to do medical check. We still do medical check. What is it, every 2 years, every year?
Every 2 years, I think you have to get the physical. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like doing the full physical because so for people that don't know, as a teacher, every 2 years, I get to go to the hospital. I have to go. Otherwise they dock my pay or
they'll fine you.
Worse than that. You'll get a fine. So I go to the hospital. This is all free. And you strip down, you put on a robe, little slippers, and they take you through the paces.
Yeah.
You get everything checked. Everything.
They take blood,
dental, vision, audio. They take blood, urinalysis, everything, and your blood pressure. It's like getting a checkup at the doctor, but like a little bit amped up. And did you know this, Jack?
At 40,
you can ask. You can ask for extra services. Many of them are free.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I would love to get like a car. I want to get like the heart, checkup. I have,
if you want to do if you want to do, they do chest X-ray. That's default.
Yeah.
But if you want to do like VO2 max,
oh really?
Like run on a treadmill with the oxygen. Yeah. I think that might have been like $5. And if you want to do, they do colonoscopy. Endoscopy, is that the right pronunciation?
Well, the endoscopy is mandatory after 40. So have you not had that yet?
Mandatory.
What's that?
Yeah, I had it.
Okay.
I had it.
Yeah, the one down your throat is I got the throat one. I've done that twice, and that is not what I would call a good time. That's my most dreaded moment of that. I did it conscious. Both times.
I went under for it.
Did you go under?
Because I was doing colonoscopy at the same time, and I was just like, that you paid for though. I think I paid like $100 or something to get the anesthesiologist.
I haven't done I haven't done the Rear Admiral yet, but I did the
good time.
Yeah. Oh boy. It's getting. I'm getting to those. The point I was going to make
wasn't just about the advantages of it. I know a lot of foreigners that were upset because one of the tests they were doing was HIV test. And it's like, hey, why don't the Koreans have to take an HIV test if you're working alongside a Korean? So for a lot of people like us, we work with Koreans. They don't have to have an HIV test, but I do. That seems a little...
That blew up at the time, right before you came here, before you started. That blew up. And I knew the person who was kind of the catalyst for that, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to name any names or anything, but I know that was an issue for this person, and there were some. It made international news. I went all the way to. I think it actually hit CNN, the international edition, because of the. I guess they were saying there was a racist component there. Why would we be the only ones susceptible to that virus? Why not test everybody? And But I was, at the time, it didn't apply to me because I was an F5 visa holder. I was married at the time, so I was kind of grandfathered into, and so you could call me a coward. I'll accept that, but I stayed. I was Switzerland on that one. You know what I mean? I was like,
I still
didn't
would be.
involve
I'm
myself.
not gonna apologize for it. Like, you got to pick your battles. And like, for me on that issue, there was a lot of people, it'd be a popular topic around dinner, people talking about stuff like this. Or just like, more recently, how foreigners need to get the COVID test. There was one of our coworkers sent out a group email, raging about it to like sign a petition or whatever, yeah, I guess I would sign a petition. Fine. Am I going to waste my time picketing? I don't think so, because honestly, I do want to know that I'm healthy.
Yeah, right.
And maybe that's a naive way to look at it, but like, I don't mind taking the test. Like when, one of my favorite parts of doing the full physical is the counseling section, where you get to sit down one-on-one with the doctor and they just ask you about your habits. They ask you, things that kind of go beyond what you might have talked about if you were at like the doctor with, if I blew up my knee running. Okay. So I go to the doctor and that's a one-time event, but then maybe I don't go back to the doctor as I'm recuperating. I get to talk to the counselor about that and be like, yeah, it took me about a month to come back or something. Okay, this isn't an event that happened, but like, I can talk about, where I'm at, physically. They'll ask you, I don't know. I like taking care of my health. It's fun. And I'm not afraid of doctors collecting data on me, because I want that. I've always had that since I was a kid. I mean, doctors collect data. People have mixed opinions. So.
I have no qualms with the two. I'm glad they offer this. And this is not a foreigner thing. This is a Korean thing. This is part of their healthcare system, is that it's preventative care. I mean, what a wild idea for an American, oh my God, the government says we can save billions and billions of dollars by just offering people early tests so that we can catch this stuff early, get you on some, whatever blood pressure medication, or get your cholesterol down, give you some, help or whatever. And, see what your liver enzymes are and all this sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
That stuff is so important.
I'm a super fan of this kind of thing.
I am too, because I think people take much better care of their cars than they do of their own bodies. You know what I mean? You wouldn't just not take your car to the auto repair shop for 10 or 15 years, just like the check engine light's been on for about 3 years, but I mean, that's ridiculous. You would never treat your car like that, but we treat our bodies like just total shit, We just, going to the doctor is going to the auto repair shop. As far as I'm concerned, it's getting a checkup is, they're kicking the tires.
Especially when the systems are so easy compared to the systems that I had experienced coming out of like Chicago. The event of going to the doctor, I can now, okay, so I did blow up my knee many years ago, and I was on crutches for about a month. I don't know, maybe you didn't see me during this time.
No, I never heard that.
On my crutches. Yeah, so it was from running. It was whatever. So during this time of recuperation, I had to go to the doctor often. So I was just checking in like every 10 days, per his request. Okay, so even that alone in America would be pretty uncommon, unless I was like some athlete or something. But after that, we built a relationship. So he's kind of like my buddy. I don't make reservations for the doctor. I just go. And
I usually do too, but I don't have a buddy though, like you do. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like maybe there's 5 or 6 people maximum in the waiting room, and he'll just slip me in between. He'll tell me about his golf score, and I'll tell him about like my bike trips and stuff, and we just shoot the shit, have a cup of coffee. If I'm in the hood, But that type of behavior I just wouldn't do in Chicago, or like doing like this full checkup that's in Korea every 2 years that we have to do. It's so thorough. Maybe it sounds like to many listeners like this is some big process. Man, I'm in and out in 25 minutes.
Oh, they've got
Like,
it streamlined. Yeah. The longest
Yeah,
thing is
it's like
that is the soft, what do you call that one? I forgot. Endoscopy. That's the
oh, right.
that's the only one that really
also the
just
sh-
takes some time. But
But it's also the shortest if you go with, if you knock yourself out.
oh, right. If you take the
It's like,
you take the drugs,
it's like zero. Yeah.
I'm
That's
straight
a trip.
edge, so I don't believe in drugs. No, I'm just kidding. It was I think it was $50 extra, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let's just get this over with, and I can
You
just
grit
stand
your
up and
teeth
get
go
out of
for
there.
it?
Yeah, I went for it, and
Yeah.
it feels weird. It is not. Yeah, it's weird. It's hard to describe, but yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I was not about it.
Yeah.
No, anyway, it was kind of a digression, but I thought it was a fun one. Talking about just we brought this up in a previous episode, talking about healthcare in general in Korea, and it does relate to COVID. So I think it is like cool that we included it.
Well,
here.
let me digress a little bit further, because you're telling war stories. I ruptured a disc in my back in 2005, I think it was, and I was working at a hagwon, and I hurt my back so badly. I don't know if you know, like, you're a biology guy, so you probably know what a herniated disc is. A herniated disc is where between the two, forget what you call those. I guess it's the bone part of the spine, and then in between there are these like kind of spongy, the discs that go in between the vertebrae. Sorry, the vertebrae is the bone, and then there are discs, and that disc provides a kind of a cushion for the vertebrae. And what happened was I blew it out, and so the fluid inside of the disc was leaking out, and so now I don't and pushing against my sciatic nerve, and so I was getting shooting leg pain, and I could only walk in an L shape. My head is here and my legs are here. And if those who are listening to the podcast, I was basically hunched over. So I went to the doctor I went to Severance Hospital, the best hospital, right? The Yonsei Hospital. And
yeah, sure.
And she goes, well, you have a stomach ache? And I was like, I wish, I can't stand up straight right now without my knees buckling and collapsing on the floor. And anyway, long story short, they were like, that's going to be $10,000. And I was like, yep, I don't have $10,000. So I went to my local hospital, and it ended up being that guy was the head of orthopedics. He was teaching at I think Seoul National University or something. And but he owned the little hospital, but he was one of the best back doctors in Korea. And so he did my surgery. So I had the surgery while working at a hagwon, which is really weird because hagwons are not known for being very sympathetic. Like I've heard stories of someone who got cancer and they fired them. It's like, you gotta go home and take care of that because we're not able to, and that's pretty cold. My school this is how crazy I was. I think I had the surgery on a Wednesday and I was back at work on Monday. And I had back surgery where they cut it out, took out the excess part of the disc, and sewed me back up and put me in a room, and I was by myself. And that's another thing I learned about Korea is that nurses only administer the very bare minimum, like shots and things like that. But in America, a nurse will kind of take care, like fluff your pillow for you or whatever. Here, they don't do any of that stuff. It's your family that does it. I didn't have any family. Right. So basically, I remember they came in with my meal and they dropped it on the bed next to me. And I was in a room by myself and I couldn't reach the meal. So I had to grab this like pole and I hooked it over the bed and I pulled the bed where the food was next to my bed. And that's how I was eating. And they had a coin operated television. So you put in an obegwan and you get 30 minutes of TV. Where the
heck did you go?
I know.
You had to pay for the TV?
I had to pay. Wow. I had to, every time somebody came to visit me, I was like, could you throw in about $3 of change? I want to watch some TV. And I remember when they wheeled me into that that operating room, and it was a minimalist hospital. I mean, kind of gray concrete walls and some lights, and I was like, holy shit, this could be the end of my journey, like stranger things have happened, I've had a good run, but I feel like I have more to offer. I'm 27 years old, it's not over for me yet. I woke up.
Well, I wonder how much of that like experience has really changed. Like, and that's what we can talk about next week. Again, talking about like, where we were going to segue from last week to this week, but I'm skipping over it.
No problem.
But like how things have changed. Like it's like that example what you're talking about, like in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
My experiences with any type of hospital stuff was many years after you're talking 2005.
This is 2005.
Right?
Yeah, this is way back.
So for me it was like 2014 2014. So almost 10 years later, and I went to, our university has a hospital, very famous hospital here in the city. So naturally I went there, and when I went there, the first thing they offered to me was a guide. It was optional. I could say no thanks, but her job was to provide not just translation. That's what I thought at first. I thought she was like just for translation, and my Korean skill sucks, but I can speak enough to handle, what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to shrug her off. I'm like, yeah, I don't need you today, whatever. And I was going to be there all day. And she explained to me, she's like, no, I'm not here just for translation. I'm kind of like your buddy.
I'm your handler, basically. That's
But when it came to like having someone at bedside, she was there. And
that's great.
I think the reason she exists is not for the translation service. I think it was because I was a foreigner, maybe also because I was a professor at Jungdae, but they assumed I didn't have family that's going to be joining me.
Yeah.
So that's the role that she was, and I didn't know that was a thing. So this was my first experience.
Same,
So
yeah.
I didn't quite get why I need a buddy. Like I didn't quite understand that the nurses aren't going to be doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I met her again. To come full circle. I met her again when I went to do the colonoscopy. And
I hope you lied about the procedure. You're like, oh, they're taking some blood, Yeah.
No, actually, she was in the room when they pushed the plunger to knock me out.
Oh,
so,
okay.
They got you hooked up to the
to
the IV, and they look at me, and the last thing I remember is her laughing. That's all I remember. I don't even remember the thumb. I remember looking at the thumb on top of the plunger going down with the drugs.
Yeah.
And I remember her like laughing, and it was just like, bam. And I'm in a different room. It's a different hour. Like,
yeah. How weird is anesthesia? Just like as an aside here, I'm sorry, but it is not like sleep. To me, anesthesia is like death.
Awake. You're awake when you come back.
Yeah.
And you're awake when you come back. You're just like, it's like,
you just disappeared
or anything. Yeah. It's just like suddenly someone changed the scene. Yeah. Oh man, we could do a whole episode on how tripped out it is. It was my only experience ever going under.
Oh, I've been under many times. Okay.
Yeah. Any of my friends or family listening to this is like, oh, Ryan's talking about when he got his butt probed again. It's like another one of those stories. Because it's the only time I've ever had that experience. And,
well, I'm going under for that one. I'm not. There's only so far I can withstand. Only so much torture I can withstand, and I think the endoscopy is the end of it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the end of it.
Yeah. I think
sorry,
we can wrap on that note. Is that the end of the episode? We're talking about butts now. I think that's pretty much it. What did we miss? There was a couple of like points that I had isolated from our collection of.
I feel like I just steered us off the cliff when it came to COVID, but I think Kevin, might have some input when it comes to COVID.
Well, we can bring the topic back.
Yeah, we can resurrect this one. I think next week if we need to, or at least partially.
Yeah, there's I'm trying to think of some things that we had left off on. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about a little bit was COVID and travel, as travel is like an essential part of our lifestyles. Again, when Kevin comes back, maybe we can tie a little bit of this into the next discussion. he can give us like his thoughts. He can review this because that's a big detail, especially for a lot of listeners that are wondering about the lifestyle of working as a teacher or a professor, expat in Korea. Having 4 months where you don't have to work, having 3-day weekends, it means that you do a lot of travel, and COVID, well, completely jettisoned all of it. So,
well, that's the and that hit you guys so much harder than me because I'm not I never really consider myself a traveler. I've always considered myself like I don't know what adjective to use to describe it, but a liver, I guess. Like not a liver, the body part. Sorry, like life. I'm a settler. Well, like I settle in and then I stay put. But I'm in this different country, but I don't travel that much at all.
But you're doing the family thing too, which Kevin and I are not, right? But anyway, that's still something that maybe Kevin can make some more comments on. And then the other thing that was left, the only other thing that was left, because we covered everything else, was the stimulus checks. So as probably many of our listeners are not Korean, maybe, who knows? You probably got stimulus checks.
We've got a couple.
American, I got stimulus checks. Yeah. And Koreans also got stimulus checks, but as an American living here, we did not get a Korean stimulus check. Which
in Gyeonggi, I did. I got a card. I got some stimulus. Yeah,
you son of a bitch.
I know. I'm a bastard. I'm still waiting for. Last week I was talking. You asked me about culture shock, and I was like stimulus. I think the word I was meant to say is stimuli. Too much stimuli, right? Isn't that if I'm being a grammar Nazi? There's a lot of stimuli. The plural of stimulus. But I think I have the word stimulus is like stuck in my head right now because I'm still waiting for like some number 2 and number 3. So I'm.
I wasn't aware that you managed to get it. So did you get it because you're married, because of your visa, because you own property? Like your situation is very different from me.
Right. I think that I think it was a Gyeonggi. It was not a Seoul thing. It was a Gyeonggi thing. And those of us who are foreigners now, whether the e-visa people were eligible, it might have been for those of us who are on F visas. And I'm not sure because I was just kind of going as per the direction of my wife. She's like, you need to go to this office. We're going to fill out some paperwork and they're going to give you a little blue card. And they're very limited, like where you can spend that money. It has to be in small businesses. So you can only use it around.
Pilot program for universal basic income they're doing out in Gangwon-do.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And it really worked. Like it really stimulates the economy because like I said, my wife has a coffee shop and we noticed that during that post-stimulus period, we were selling more than we are now. And the only thing I can really attribute it to is that I think when people had those stimulus checks or stimulus cards, they were just much more likely to just buy a cup of coffee, to buy a donut,
so just a little bit more going around.
Yeah, and it was just kind of aimed at like small businesses and in the community, and it was a good program. It was like $100. I think it wasn't like it wasn't the size of like the stimulus checks that were coming from America.
Yeah, not like the thousands, but also the universal basic income thing going on in Gangwon-do or wherever it's happening in different places. Maybe I know for sure it's out there. They, like you said, you get an account, you can only spend it in certain places. So for a lot of the local markets, which is one of the best things in Korea,
I know.
I love the Sijang scene.
Yeah.
I live right in Huam Sijang, right here in the market.
We have ours down in Pyeongtaek, the Tongbuk Sijang.
Yeah, I'm all about supporting and saving that element of the of the tapestry here. It's just
and as a person that likes to cook, you like going straight farm to table, man. Like these are the people. So
like all your veggies and everything you can. another episode. So we did talk about the stimulus. Good, done. So when Kevin gets back, we'll tell him he's got to review this and then give us his 2 cents on the COVID and travel thing. I guess it'll be mine as well. You might be emceeing this one because you're not traveling traditionally as much.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one for me to MC. Yeah, I'll put something together so I can because I love to live vicariously through you guys who go out and see the world more than I do.
But next week let's also we'll tie that up a little bit, but next week let's also get back to talking about the changes, because I think that's such a great subject, and I think we have a lot to talk about what has changed in the last 12 or 15 years here, not just
even 20 years. Like when I first came to Korea versus now is just
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years, man. It's profound. The changes. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I'd love to
we'll dig into that.
Yeah,
we'll get there next week. So so again, that's it for tonight, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it right this time. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button on the videos too, and if you're listening to the podcast, you can find us on all the major platforms like iTunes, Stitcher, Amazon Music,
Spotify, Pandora.
Spotify.
Yeah.
Are we on Spotify too? Pandora.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
That out.
Yeah.
And as I said in the intro here, I'm collecting kind of questions that I make, or Jack makes, Kevin's makes, friends make, and you make. So if you have any questions specifically that you'd like us to talk about, topic you want us to dig into, send it.
I'll make this promise. If you send us a letter, an email, I will read it on the show. Is that too much is that too big of a promise? I don't, go ahead, come after us, whatever, like we're big boys.
We're in the early days. We don't have a lot of traffic yet, so I think that's good. We can handle it.
Yeah.
So whatever you guys want to say, shoot us some topics. Our email again is thesoulpatch@gmail.com. Don't forget the soul patch, soul as in the city, SEOUL. And that's it. So take care, and we'll see you at the patch.
All right.
Next week.
Thanks, everybody.
I'd like to pay a couple respects to the people that made me what I am today.
Laughing gear.
It's all my love. It's all my love.
The quiet man.
It's all my love. It's all my love.
Dopamine. Jim.
It's all my love. It's all my love. It's all my love.
The brain.
It's all my love. It's all my love.
Hey, Bobby.
Let the bass go.
Call me an eater.